tuning in today. And today we're going to talk about what I've learned from exploring Ethiopia. So, I am half German, half Ethiopian. I grew up in Germany and I did not grow up too close to the culture. Like, we ate the food sometimes and we had a few Ethiopian friends. I don't have any family from Ethiopia living in Europe, so I did not have like too much close contact. I do not speak the native language Amharic either. So I didn't grow up too close to the culture, and I decided that I want to connect more to the culture, and yeah, so that's why I flew to Ethiopia, and it was so nice spending time there. I was there with my cousin, and I just I felt like my brain and my mind was expanding so much from just being there and from seeing the way people live there. And I really felt like my brain was just exploding, expanding, and I really wanted to share it because I had so many valuable insights. And one of them was survival mode. So I knew about survival mode the way I experienced it myself. I had experienced situations growing up in my childhood that was very distressful and put my body into fight or flight, so into survival mode. And I experienced that very heavily, um, like I was always tense, I was fearful, I was scared, I had panic attacks, and that's how I understood survival mode. And when I saw people here in the West are in survival mode, then they would be just very stressed and don't know how to really regulate it. Being there gave me a new perspective on survival mode, and that is of people literally don't have their basic needs met and therefore live in survival mode. So I saw a lot of people. So when I looked at the majority of people when they walked around, they look like life seems very heavy, and they all look like they were suffering at some point. Like, mm, if I would see people just looking like more put together and beautiful the way they do in most Western countries, like just put together, just like having good clothes and everything, they seemed less in survival mode for me. I was really, I don't know how to describe it, like, there were also a lot of children on the streets who were begging for money, and moms with their small, young 1, 2, 3 year old children begging for money. And it just seemed to me that, oh wow, it made me understand why we needed survival mode in order to survive. All of our here are alive right now because our ancestors survived in the past. Those whose ancestors didn't survive aren't here because they didn't create offsprings. So what being there taught me is that when you are in survival mode, or when you don't have your basic needs met, like food, shelter, water, electricity. I don't know if that's basic need, but I mean it's kind of basic, especially here in Western countries. And you don't have like the basic needs get met. You don't have the capacity to think and worry about um, your beauty, about your makeup, about your clothes, about all of these things because you're literally fighting for survival. And I have realized that it is such a luxury to do your inner work and to heal, because in order to do your inner work and to do things like somatic coaching and working with your nervous system and doing inner work, which I specialize in, um, is a luxury, because in order to do those things you need to have some kind of level of safety, some kind of level of security. You if you really think, how can I eat today, it will be hard to do these kinds of things, because um you need to have some space, right? If we when we do the inner work and work with the nervous system and the body, what we do is we get help our body to get out of survival mode. What that means is oftentimes your body, because it has been living so much in survival mode before, it will need a lot of rest. So in the beginning, I felt like a lot of time to just sleep, rest, do nothing. And if you are literally fighting for your physical survival, then you don't have the capacity to do so because your body is for a good reason in survival mode. So I've realized two things. First of all, it's really good that we have this mechanism of survival mode, otherwise a lot of us wouldn't be here. Second of all, it is necessary to have basic needs and physical needs being met in order to get your body out of survival mode. And third of all, I understood the value of being able to create debt. So over there, they don't have mortgages for the houses, nor any kind of financing opportunities such as financing a car. They don't have student loans in order to finance private education or higher education. So um, if you're born into a poor family, you cannot just get a loan and get good education. And I understood the value of debt because debt in itself is not bad. Yes, maybe consumer debt is not something that we should pursue because, yeah, if you just go and buy a new purse on a credit card, this is not something that I would personally stand for. But I've realized that education for me personally is so important. I think education are one of the most important things. And my dad, who is so my dad is from Ethiopia, my mom is from Germany. So my dad, he used to tell me, education is not only for you, but it can change the trajectory of a whole country. And I was like, I really love that sentence. Like, I love that. I claim that. But being in Ethiopia really made me fully understand it because if you're a person who's really educated, you can help your country to break through thresholds and to really change. So, um, my family always really valued education, and in the beginning, growing up, I thought it was sometimes really annoying. Um, but I have come to a place where I value education so much, and I am in the happy place that I'm literally going to my dream university. I love it so much, and I could not be more grateful to get this kind of high level of education and ability to um, build my skill sets. I also understand why education is such a privilege. So when I saw these kids and I was like asking my cousin why they're not in school and they're begging on the streets, in order to go to school, you need to have a family that is providing for you all of your basic necessities. Sleep, like a place to sleep, food, clothes, all of these things. If you don't have that, you're not thinking about education, you're thinking about bare survival. So our if we have the ability to go to school and educate ourselves, it is because we don't have like we didn't have to think um about our bare survival. And I think it made me just so much more grateful the way I grew up. As I said, I grew up in Germany, and I like the government's schools are pretty good. So I went to elementary school, and then I went to a really nice high school, and then I transferred to a business high school, like middle school, high school. That's kind of one thing in Germany. But I went to middle school and a really nice school, and then I transferred to a high school which was more focused on business because I knew that I liked the topic. And I'm just so grateful that I have this level of access to good education, and I never had to worry about anything because my parents were able to provide this for me, so I could have the chance to get educated. And this is so normal for everyone here in the West. Like every child has the opportunity to go to schools, or like quite okay good schools. And often we were like, oh, school, we hate school, we don't like it. And I've just realized, how privileged we are that we have this opportunity. And I'm definitely so grateful for my education, and really understanding that education is a privilege because you need to have a level of provision in order to be able to think about education and have the brain capacity to think about that, because you don't have to just focus on bare survival. So yeah, that's one thing that I've really learned there. Another thing that I've really realized is the cultural differences of families. So in Ethiopia, you have the food is called injera, and it is basically a big, like, kind of bread, and then you eat it with your hand, and you have like a big plate, and then everyone from the family sits around this plate. And when you go into a restaurant, you see families of 5, 6, 3, 7 people all sitting around the table, and then they eat, and you also just take a little bit and then feed another person to show your love and appreciation for them. And it just showed me even more how much there are more family tied, while in European countries it is less so. And I also understood a little bit why. Yes, it's cultural, and yes, it's traditional. And since you don't have government support, right? If you lose your job, you get money from the government. If you get a child, you get money from the government. You get school, like you get a lot of aid from the government to secure your survival. You do not have this in Ethiopia or in other African countries. You're more um, relying on your family, and also then that's like kind of like some kids grow up be literally born on the street, while others grow up in wealth, and there's less of making it equal through government aid. So that's something that really made me think about and understood it. And then I understood how attachment styles are so important. So when we have attachment styles, there are different kinds of attachment styles: the secure, the avoidant, the anxious, and the disorganized. And now I really understand when we don't have a secure attachment style, we cannot live in we will automatically be in survival mode, because before there was all these government help and subsidies like we have now in European countries, um, we were literally needing our parents for bare survival. Yes, as a parent in Europe, we also need our parents for survival, and there are more opportunities if our parents would fail us to be supported. If our parents fail us, we have like kids shelter, and you can get to adopt it and things like that. In Ethiopia, if your parents really fail you, I think you just die. Maybe you're lucky and somebody finds you and takes care of you, but you could just die. Um, so I understood more like attachment styles are literally connected to our survival. That's why when we have an insecure attachment style, like being anxious or being avoidant or disorganized, I'll feel sometimes like we feel like dying. I know that when I worked through my attachment style wounds, it felt like those feelings, or when I got triggered, it felt like if I lose that person, I'm dying. And for a good reason, because an insecure attachment style meant that our parents were not giving us what we needed, and it basically meant that we're scared of dying. And I had this feeling like a lot. I had this feeling of like I'm scared of dying, because the attachment was so insecure. So yeah, these were things that I was really like thinking about and learning. And also another thing is um what a lot of people do there, they put like buckets and then they wash people's shoes. So they have something like a chair, and you sit down and they clean your shoes, and then you pay them. So that's like an alternative to begging to make some money. And honestly, I love that, because you're creating value, and you get something in exchange. And I was thinking, like, why are not like homeless people in Germany doing that? Like, I thought I love the level of creativity that you develop sometimes when you are in situations like that. And also one thing I've realized is that the country itself, from the massive hierarchy of needs, are quite like on the basic needs, even more educated people who are not living on the streets. And that while here in, for example, Germany or Europe, we're like, yeah, we want to have our dream job, our dream life. That is actually quite high. Like, that's kind of self-actualization, the part of hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're not familiar, just Google it. You will see these are the basic needs that these are the needs that human beings have, and starting with the basic needs, going up to self-actualization. Yeah, so that is that is what I've learned from my trip from Ethiopia, and I really loved seeing the country. I loved the food, and I loved, yeah, I think it was so nice just being with my cousin. And yeah, one thing I really loved about him and my relationship to him is that he is he's such a, like, his love for me is unconditional. And I love that sometimes we were like fighting a little bit, or we were spending a lot of time together and we had differences, that I always knew in my head he loves me. And whatever is happening now, I know, like, in a few minutes and then maybe an hour, he we will be back to baseline. And I know he loves me because he was always saying and telling me that. And honestly, it healed something in me, because uh, I'm always talking about attachment styles, etc. And there are still things where I get triggered, and I did a lot of work to yeah, earn a more secure attachment style. And being with him just healed something, because I understood what it meant to develop a secure attachment with somebody. And I was like, damn, if I would have grown up like that, that is just, it's just amazing. Like, also one thing I realized is, while I spent so much time with him and he like pours so much love into me, and I feel like all of my emotional needs are getting met, I felt like this level of need to look to other people of getting what I wanted was just gone. I just felt so full that I could talk to my friends because I wanted to, but not because I needed something from them. Well, first, sometimes I feel like my cup is so empty because my family of origin, like where I grew up, I never got that. So I felt like I was so denied of my basic emotional needs. That being with him, I was like, that was such an healing experience, and I feel like I just carry that with me. And so that was really nice and so beautiful. And yeah, that is something. I feel like everything that I said is always just connected to attachment styles and survival mode, or not survival mode, but nervous system, because that is just so the basics. And I'm so grateful for this knowledge, and I'm so grateful now to work with other women to bring that knowledge. So if you're interested in working with me in order to connect more to your feminine energy, build a more secure attachment style, and regulate your nervous system, you can write me an email, and I will also put out my website where you can, yeah, read everything what you need to read. I also have a course. It's called Feminine Self-Worth, where I talk all about building your feminine self-worth. So knowing your worth internally, recognizing and seeing how valuable you are, how valuable your energy is, and that you don't have to prove anything to anyone in order to feel worthy. This can sound simple when I say it, but it is deep. Like, especially as women, like, self-worth is something that we really need to work on, I believe, and I did, and it helped me so much. So that's why I created the course. It will also be in the bio. And I love you guys so much. I'm so happy. This is like my safe space. Like, I have so much fun recording what I learn. And I haven't been so active the last months. And I was like, I miss it so much. Like, this is my life. Like, this is my hobby. Like, I want to just learn and share what I learned. I feel like this is my life. And I'm so happy that you're here. I wish you a beautiful day. Bye bye. Yun na yummy.